Hi, we're here to talk about Waterfall, one of the methodologies of choice from software development lifecycle. It is an non-iterative lifecycle, something that gets completed in one swoosh, does not break up the project in multiple pieces. So let's talk about what are its pros and cons and what type of projects are going to be suitable for implementation in Waterfall. No one is going to ask you this question upfront direct, but they might give you a simple question as in what is your preference in terms of what type of methodologies have you worked on and what are your choices when it comes to implementation of these methodologies. So if you look at that functionality, now what is Waterfall all about? It is a non-iterative life cycle, as I said. So key features over here, some of the pros or advantages: it is the oldest and the simplest way of implementing any software development lifecycle. So because of its simplicity, the number of resources available to take care of finalization of Waterfall is enormous, is huge. It is going to be comparatively easy to source individuals to take care of Waterfall methodology. Even if you have, let's say, an office environment where you have individuals that have been working with you for the last 25 plus years, Waterfall will be able to provide you more details or more resources to take care of those functionalities. Another advantage with Waterfall, it requires a high amount of documentation. Now this documentation is essential not only from present situation from implementation perspective, but it also depends on how this documentation could be utilized for future perspective. How can we use these recommendations that we are implementing today so that in tomorrow's time when you are looking for another upgrade, another change, how do we know what are the things that are involved when it comes to the documentation piece? So what are the different cons, disadvantages? Since this is a one soup thing, the client has very low visibility, almost none in terms of what is being developed till the very end when the actual product comes out. We are also talking about how we can find out ways and figure out change management process. Change management is the most difficult thing to implement in Waterfall because how can you check the deviation when you don't have any visibility on the output of the product or the project? That is something where you have to make sure that you have a methodology that can accept those changes. So if you are sure that the client is not frozen solid on the requirements, Waterfall is the worst possible methodology of choice because once the requirements are provided and the development begins, there is no way to revisit the requirements, make updates to the requirements and take care of the functionality from there. Having said that, another disadvantage is the high amount of documentation. Coin has two sides. There is an advantage to it, disadvantage. Documentation by itself is not adding any additional value. Once the information is transferred to the developers from the perspective of finalization of information that is going to be needed by him, it is very non-productive, non-value adding from that perspective when it comes to an output for which we are spending time, effort and money to take care of the output. So what type of project is going to work best in Waterfall? There is no 100% solution, and it doesn't mean if the project does not meet these criteria, it cannot be put in Waterfall. There are umpteen number of companies, government departments that are still working in Waterfall in spite of all the pitfalls that are associated with this specific methodology. So key features, it needs to be a short project. It cannot be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years long project, because if the client has no visibility for 4 years, hey, the client very well could have retired in halfway. There is a new project's stakeholder that comes in to take care of the functionality. So the project needs to be a short term project, maybe 6 months, 9 months, maximum a year. Beyond that, it is starting to lose its effectiveness in terms of the output that can be generated. Since there is no visibility, this is something that is very crucial to the success of a project when you are implementing it in waterfall methodology. Now, because the project has a lot of resources that are available, if you have a team that is not very well versed with rational unified process or agile, waterfall would be the easiest way to begin the process so that we could manage the process in that fashion. Although waterfall and agile are more affluent in terms of how do you manage change, but getting additional resources from scratch is even more difficult sometimes when it comes to getting new folks to work on the project. So again, change management. If you are not in the process of having changes incorporated, it's not the very best methodology of choice. So if you anticipate a lot of changes coming in, then waterfall is not going to be a very good idea in terms of finalizing it from a software development lifecycle perspective. So you need a short project because you need to see the output. You need to have a low number of changes. The requirement should be frozen solid, and the resources, the number of people that are available taking care of the project should vary depending on what is available. So that is a quick roundup of waterfall methodology. Thank you.